Lymphocytic colitis interrupts my life. What interrupts yours? Hi there, welcome to episode 17 of Yarns and Yarns. My name is Shay McIntosh Ford, and I live in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with my husband, my two boys, and our little puppy. This is a show about yarns as in fibers and yarns as in stories. Mostly I get into knitting and crochet with fibers, but I might bleed a little bit into cross stitch here in the near future. You'll see why in acquisitions. If you are a new viewer, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much and welcome back. You'll find all the links for yarn, books, patterns, anything I can link to, I will put that all down below. It's been a while. You would think that I'd have a ton of stuff done in all this time, but I don't. Like I said, lymphocytic colitis got in my way. So the first thing I want to do is the same thing I did on my other channel for my chronic illness journey. I want to beg you, even if you don't have a problem with gluten, please, 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 I'm shamelessly begging, please contact your state representative and ask them to support this bill for forcing manufacturers to label their drugs if they have gluten in them or not, because I had a urinary tract infection that went untreated for 6 days because I could not find a gluten-free antibiotic. Fortunately, that's all it was. It could actually have been very serious, I find out. But yeah, that got in my way. It stressed me out, put me in a flare. All of that is on my other channel. But I didn't get nearly as much knitting done as I wanted to. I was really on fire with those socks. And I wanted to get at least 12 socks knitted this summer. It looks like I'm only going to get 7. But at least that's 7 socks that I hadn't had before. Alright, so FOs, of course, is socks. So these are my hand-dyed socks. So this is Knit Picks Felici. It was their bear. And I dyed this yarn with grape Kool-Aid, and the way it came out made me think of thunderstorms and lightning, so I called it Thunderstorms at Night. And I just love the way they came out. Isn't that beautiful? I love the micro striping and the pooling that went on. And they still smell like grape because I haven't worn them at all or washed them thoroughly. So they still smell like grape Kool-Aid. Very much so. I think I had like one done the last time you saw it, and I can't remember where I was with the other. Now that I've shown them off, I am going to be able to wear them. I'm very excited about that. The Felici, I now know why it's a favorite among knitters. It's a really nice yarn to knit with. Not splitty at all, just very, very agreeable. This yarn is 75 superwash merino, 25% nylon, grape Kool-Aid. I have more Bear Felici to dye up, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Been a little busy running to the bathroom. So for these socks, I did 64 stitches, 20 rounds of 1x1 rib cuff, 60 rounds for the leg, and 80 rounds for the foot, slip stitch, heel flap and gusset, which I am very much enjoying that as opposed to the afterthought heel. In the future, I might try a shadow wrap heel. I've been hearing a lot of good things about that one, so I might give that one a try. The pattern is the Crazy Sock Ladies vanilla socks on DPNs. For my needles, I used the likey driftwood DPNs. I think these are 5-inch, maybe they're 6-inch. And the size is US 1, 2.25 millimeters needles. For my next FO, more socks. Can you tell I love purple? So these are Queensland Collection, the label here. It's Australian superwash wool blend, 80% superwash wool and 20% nylon. And the colorway is Sydney Lights. I wanted to like this wool. I really wanted to like this. I love the colors. I think it's beautiful. I love the way they fade. It's actually very similar to the way the Patons Croix FX fades. The yarn itself was not fun to work with. I started these, and the yellow and green ones, which I'll show you in my whips, I started them at the same time. And well, I started the yellow ones and got frustrated, moved them to circulars and decided to do these. Oh, okay. No, that's not what happened.
This is what happened.
I started the yellow and green ones on 9-inch circulars. I knit the whole leg and I wasn't feeling it. I'm gonna try the 9-inch circulars again. I set those aside and pulled out the DPNs and worked on these instead. I figured it's the same yarn. I'll do what makes me happy. I pulled out the DPNs and I knit these up. I realized that it wasn't any more fun. It's the yarn itself, not my cup of tea. Let's put it that way. It splits a lot. It's actually really thin yarn. You can even kind of see the sock blocker here because it's a white hanger. At least there were no slubs that I saw in the FX, and of course it's the same ball, so the color came out the same. I was working on them at the same time I got that UTI between not feeling great and not having the greatest yarn to knit with. I kind of lost my mojo there for a little while, but I forced myself to just get through it. I do like the color. I think they're beautiful and they'll probably be very comfortable, but I knit these on the same DPNs, same pattern, so that'll all be linked down below. On to whips. So first one is the other sock from it's the same yarn, so I'm not even going to show the ball band. This colorway is called Golden Wattle, which I found out while I was editing my last video. The golden wattle is Australia's national flower, and it's a really cute, pretty green and yellow flower. And again, I love the color, I think, and I love the way it fades. But yeah, this was what I started on the 9-inch circulars, and it wasn't going well, so I switched it to the magic loop, and it still wasn't going well. So I did the whole leg on the 9-inch circulars, switched it to the magic loop, worked on the heel and a bit of the foot. Take this out. So I did a bit of the foot as well on the magic loop. On magic loop. I still wasn't feeling it. I have grown to really love doing socks on DPNs. I decided just to switch these to the DPNs and finish them this way. But I needed a break from these, so I went back to magic loop. I didn't want to fool with 9-inch circulars. I wanted something that I could do. I have a project bag. This is whip number 2. It's another pair of socks. I picked up this bag at a fiber festival right before the Delta virus started surging. The bag is from Whiz Bags. This is her card. I will link her down below. She said that she may or may not be making bags anymore. I'm pretty sure she dyed yarn. There were lots of different things there in these booths. But this is my bag, and of course it's purple. This was the purplest one she had. And that's the inside, paisley pink. And this is whip number 2. And I'm doing these on magic loop. And these are my Andy socks. So I did the blue Andy socks in July, and I loved that yarn, and I knew I loved the yarn, and I didn't have the rest of my my Bear Felici dyed yet, and I didn't want to fuss with it, so I'm like, I'm just gonna go with this one because I know it's a good yarn and I can knit really well with it. So I'm doing these magic loop 2 at a time, which I haven't done in a while. I haven't done that all summer, so that's a first. The other thing I did was I decided to put a contrast heel because it matched so well. I wasn't going to. I was actually going to make just a solid pair of socks out of this, but it matched so well with one of the purples in here. It looks like a dark blue, but it's actually a very deep, deep purple. I like the way it stripes up. This is the label: 55% superwash merino, 20% alpaca, and 25% nylon. They're jewel mix. For the contrast, I'm gonna do the heels and the toes in this color. So this is Lion Brand Yarn Sock Ease, 75% wool, 25% nylon, and the colorway is Grape Soda. I think this is their longest cord. I don't remember how long it is though. This is, again, US size 1, 2.25 millimeters needles. Crazy Sock Lady pattern, vanilla socks, but on the magic loop and 2 at a time. That was interesting, trying to get the heels in 2 at a time. For my last whip, as if I needed another new project, I was showing Charlie a video of Lee Mack doing a crochet portrait. It's a book cover. The portrait is it looks like a book. She did it as a gift for a friend, and it looks fabulous. And I love the fact that she did like a compilation of, you know, her crocheting through it. Her portraits are amazing. If you haven't checked out her portraits, I've mentioned her multiple times on this show. I'll link her again down below, and you just need to go check it out. But in that video, she also linked the program she uses to convert her images to a pattern. Now, she does a lot of reworking the images herself so it comes out looking the way she wants it, but then she links it to this program to make a pattern. I think I had tried to get that program to work before, but I couldn't, and I realized this time, because I tried again, and I realized it's my MacBook. It doesn't work. It's a very old program. It doesn't work with Apple. I borrowed the computer we got for the boys because I don't know what kind of, it's some kind of Windows based. I was able to load the program on there just fine. The idea was Charlie was going to crochet himself a husky portrait. Well, he has been trying to learn crochet off and on, and I did get a picture of him trying again. He just couldn't, he couldn't get his hands, he kept getting frustrated, and I really wanted to do it anyway. I wanted to see what it looked like. I wanted to know if how the program worked. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just do it. Yet another work in progress, because I've got plenty others over here that have been languishing, but I went ahead and got started on the husky. So hang on, before I show you the husky, let me show you the image. So this is what it's going to look like, and it's going to be a square, so it's a white background, but that's what he chose. We wanted to do something very simple, and when I get to the eyes, we're actually going to switch to blue just to give it a little pop of color. This is what I have so far. So just the bottom, and it's a big guy, so it's going to be quite a large portrait here. And then there's the back with all my cut ties. Now, I had tried the cut and tie at each color change when I made that little Union Jack flag, and I couldn't get the tension right. at least 3 years ago. And I don't know what my hang up was, but I didn't have trouble this time. Now, I had followed Lee's videos. She used to have videos up about how to crochet portraits, but that was the only thing I watched. And maybe it was just something that didn't quite click with me, the way she explained it. I couldn't get the tension to go right with the cut and tie. For that Union Jack, I did the carry, like I carried the yarn and it made it really thick. She took them down. Some trolls were getting really nasty about her videos. It was free. She was so nice to teach us for free how to do this process. And some jerks had to go out and be mean to her about it. So she, understandably, she took them down, and I understand totally. I missed her tutorials, but she actually sent me another husky, it's a wolf portrait, and this is what it's going to look like. This is the finished product, but I'm going to use black and white colors, blacks, whites, grays, and then the blue for the eyes. I was talking with her about it, and so you see, okay, so at the very bottom here, it looks really messy. That is like right here, no, right here. It looks like crazy messy. And it's because it's supposed to be a point, and it's not a point. And I think what's happening is the pattern picked up on the pixelation in the image. So I'm gonna have to, if I'm gonna do this myself for my own portraits, I'm gonna have to figure out how to get a software that will fix that problem. I followed the pattern exactly. It would say like one black, one white, and then several blacks, and then one black, one white, and that's where you get that pixelation in. And so what I did was if it started with a black, like if it went from black to one or two whites and then black again, I just went straight black. Especially on this side, you can still see in the rows I'm getting pixelation as well. So we're jokingly calling that the dog fur. So he's a husky, so he's fuzzy, right? And the only other problem I'm having, sometimes I'll get to the end of the row, so what I'll do is I'll finish this black piece, and then I will count to make sure that I have the right amount of whites left, and I'll be one off. So I'll have to, and I can't figure out where I'm going wrong with those, so I just have to rip out the row, redo it, and I don't know if that's because this is a piece that is like lots of stitching before you get to the next color, if that will not happen to me when it's more complex, like the ones that Lee does. I don't know, we'll see. We'll see what happens when I do the other wolf portrait. That one's a lot smaller too, so maybe it'll be easier. This is a chunker. It's 225 stitches across, and these are single crochets. That's it, just single crochets in black and white. And the yarn I'm using is Simply Soft, Caron Simply Soft black, and of course the other is white. So I wanted it tight. It's not a blanket, it's a wall hanging, so I wanted it tight. So I'm using size 4 to G E 3.5 millimeter hook. I still haven't finished his blacklight wall hanging either. I think too what happened is when I was having trouble with that UTI and not feeling well, I just didn't feel like knitting anymore because I had plowed through all those socks, and as much as I wanted to continue with the socks, I needed a different craft to work on, so figured I'd do that crochet, even though I have other crochet projects that need to get done too. Now for acquisitions. As I said before, I went to a fiber festival and I bought a Turkish drop spindle, which I didn't have. For the life of me right now, I can't find it. I have no idea where I put it. I think I put it in a cabinet where I keep a lot of my stash, but because of some other acquisitions, it's kind of jam-packed in there, and I just don't want to pull everything out. So I did get a drop spindle, and I worked on it a little bit, but I went there right before the UTI. By the time I felt comfortable with trying a drop spindle again, I still wasn't all that great. I was getting frustrated, so I really, really want a wheel. A real wheel, not the Dodeck wheel, which I still haven't tweaked that one so that it will run properly. But I got that bag that I showed earlier, and then I went to this booth, Nalman Angora's. So and it was just fiber. So when I got the drop spindle, I'm like, well, I need some fibers to work on. They had a basket with lots of different samples of different types of fibers. This one's just a bat. It has some stellina in it. It's kind of getting blown out, sorry. It's really soft. I actually did try to spin with this one. Like I said, I'm not, when I'm not feeling well, it's not a good time to learn a new craft. I've done drop spindling, but I've never been good at it. Still working on that. This one is Mohair Roving. It's not as soft, but it should, I guess, come out fluffy when I spin it. I don't know. I wanted to try different fibers. This one doesn't say what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's just dyed Angora. So it's not combed or anything. It's just the cut fibers. It cut and washed and dyed. But I did like that color. I thought it was really pretty. It's actually a lot darker. It's more of a burgundy. This looks almost pink on the screen, but it's definitely a deeper burgundy red. I just thought that was so pretty. There's poppy yellow in there. Oh, and in the same bag, there's some purples and pinks in there as well. And that's definitely not a deep enough purple. And this is carded mohair with alpaca. Not as soft as the others. It's like, because it's a blend, it's softer than the mohair by itself, but it's definitely not as soft as the other two. It's a pretty fiber as well. I also picked up a sock measure. I am sorry, but I forgot to grab a card for this. I don't remember who sold this to me. I actually also don't remember who sold me the drop spindle either. I like this because all I need is someone's shoe size, and if I want to gift a pair of socks, I got an easy way to make it. The other impetus for buying this was because I am getting ready to join the DK weight sock bandwagon because I thought that it would make a great pair of hiking socks for my boys when they go hiking with the Scouts next time. And my husband too. I'll probably make him a pair as well. I can ask my sister, what size shoe does my niece and nephew wear? And I'll be able to make them an exact pair of socks just for them. The last of my acquisitions is all cross stitch. Once upon a time, I used to cross stitch all the time. I did crochet. This was way before I was a knitter. My craft of choice was cross stitch. My mom was a cross stitcher, is a cross stitcher. She doesn't do it so much anymore because her eyesight's going. My granny was a cross stitcher. She's also the one that taught me to crochet. YouTube taught me to knit. But at the time we lived in Florida and my allergies were getting really, really bad, and I found out that I was really allergic to dust mites. And dust mites love fibers. I got rid of all my fiber crafts, all of my yarn, all my cross stitch, with the idea that I would never be able to do any more fiber arts at all. And then we moved to Colorado and I discovered the keto diet. Keto cured me. I don't have any problems. Turns out I do not need to be eating any vegetable oils. They triggered inflammation. Now I'm fine, so that's why I picked up fiber arts again. All my cross stitch stuff went to my mother. I just decided I would let her go through it and pick out what she wanted, and if I was ever going to be able to do it again, I'd just get it from her. So I got it back. The inspiration to getting it back now was I happened to stop in at a at a cross-stitch store called the Silver Needle here in Tulsa. I found this pattern. Oh, it's so blown out, which I'm going to do. I thought it was very appropriate, the Knitter's Sampler. Not only am I going to cross-stitch this, but I'm going to use the pattern, the graph, and try to crochet a portrait of this as well, since there's no back stitching on here. It's just simple design. And even if, and that's what I'm going to do. I was looking through, so my mom sent me my stuff back, and I was looking through some of my old patterns, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I could probably crochet that too, and take some floss and back stitch it. As long as there's not too much back stitching to do. That's going to be my next goal. Let me show you one thing. So here, so you can see, and I'll bring it up, but this picture right here, I cross stitched. That was one of the last things that I did, and I'm going to bring it up because I know there's a glare on it. I think this was called an English Garden Welcome, and it was a Teresa Winsler pattern. See if I can get in close here. So it's done on 28 count Aida cloth. I stitched over 2, except for the actual welcome word is stitched over 1 to give it a depth of detail. But I just thought it was pretty. Decided I wanted to do that one. So that was probably my last cross stitch that I've ever done. There are a few cross stitch whips in the supplies that my mom sent back to me, including a Teresa Winsler. So I'm gonna go get it and bring it and show you. It turns out that I don't have the chart anymore for this, but I started it, so I'm gonna have to buy another chart if I can't find it. So this was another Teresa Winsler. I don't know if I'm getting any, if it's bleeding through or not, but this is another one. And I'm gonna pop in a picture right here. It's called Millennium, and I started it around the millennium. So it's been going on for 20 years. This is where the earth goes, and again, this is, you know, the 28 count, so it's done over 2 except for the earth, and I think their hands are done over 1. Yeah, the hands are done over 1. The faces of the statues are done over 1 to give it more detail. Oh, and this planet, some of the planets are done over 1, so that one was done over 1. So it gives more detail when, that's what I love about her designs, is the level of detail in them. Just gives it a lot of depth. It takes a long time, which is why this is as far as I got before my allergies kicked in. When I went through it, there were a whole bunch that I'm like, I forgot that I even started that. So here's another one. This is Celtic Charted Designs. This is going to be great for the crocheted Afghan, or the crocheted portrait. I have a cross stitch that I have completed out of here. I might show it next time. This is one that I'm working on now, is this chart here. Looks like I was almost done with it. So definitely finishing that one up. So, blue and yellow, I always liked the colors blue and yellow together, even though purple's my favorite color, but blue and yellow together always make me happy too. So that's what I got so far. I probably will do this, complete this before I complete anything else, because obviously it's almost done. And I'm trying to make up my mind. Should I fill it in? Like in the chart, it's you know, black. Should I fill in the blue around the blue and yellow? Should I do more? I don't know. You tell me. Should I fill it in or leave it like this? I don't know. I want to know. Comment below and let me know if I should fill it in. I need to get a new scroll frame though. It was too big to fit in the box. So the last acquisition came with all of my cross stitch stuff, and I totally forgot that I had this too. This was back from when I took a spinning class 19, 20 years ago. Like, it was right after high school. I think I don't even know where this came from. I think my stepmom, my mom too, I call them both mom, I love her. I think she gave this to me, but it's merino. It does say merino. It's 4 ounces of merino. It's called denim. Denim is the color. I think that's really pretty. It looks like the Andes wool socks. So maybe if I can ever get into spinning, I will spin this up and knit something to go with those socks. This is also 4 ounces and it is called Coral. And that's it there. It's also merino. So eventually I'll get to these, but I really want to get either that wheel working or save up to buy a regular wheel that I'm not gonna have to fuss with, because I get stressed out and that's not good for me. So this is getting a little too long, so I'm gonna move right on to books. I did get the chance to finish The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, which was first published in 1937. It came back in at the library, so I finished that up, and I'm glad I reread it. You know, I'd seen the Peter Jackson movie, and I liked the movie. I was a little annoyed with parts of it, though, because I didn't remember that out of the book, but I remembered it out of The Lord of the Rings. I can't remember if it was Feely or Keely that nearly dies in the same way as Aragorn, and they have to go look for the Kingsforth weed, you know, and it's just, there were too many similar elements in the movies from the Lord of the Rings movies, so I felt like I was watching the same thing again. I mean, I liked it. I can understand adding some dramatic flair, like, you know, the barrel, going down the barrels in the river. It was better in the movie. Just, I mean, it wasn't bad in the book, it's just that it's a book, and you're there, it wasn't dramatic enough for a movie. I think that worked, but they just took too much from the original 3 movies and then put it in the Hobbit movies, and I felt like he was rehashing the same theme. I had forgotten about some parts actually being in the book that were in the book, so I'm glad I reread it. So the rest of this is going to be actually kind of short, because I did get a little farther in All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. That one was first published in 2014, but I haven't finished yet. I also got a little farther in Captain Blood, which was written by Raphael Sabatini and published in 1922. But I still haven't finished it. But I got some writing done. So I finally got through. I had a block in my story. I had to insert a character in the story and I'm at like toward the end, but I needed this character, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to go back and put her in other places, which I might still do, but all I really had to do was explain who she was. I don't think it was necessary to insert her in the previous sections of the story. And I still might not do it. I got past it finally. I finished writing the climax of the story, and now I'm working on the resolution. So I'm almost done. Almost done. Lee Mack, the beautiful crochet portrait lady, I love watching her book reviews because she's really good about pinpointing what works for her in a story and what doesn't, and how things gel. This story that I'm writing takes place in 1933 and 34, and it also deals with classic movies. Shirley Temple's a prominent, repeated figure in this story. I thought that she would like to be a beta reader, and she has agreed. So I'm going to have her read it and give me her insights, and you know, depending on what she says, I will probably make changes, because for this one, I'm going to get an agent. My first 2 books, they were published with an indie press, a small indie press, and I love them. They're such a beautiful company, very open, welcoming. You know, I love working with them. I love the editing that I got. Occasionally I got some bad editing, and she wasn't happy with those editors either and let them go. But it was great company, and I would still be very happy to work with them. My only problem is it's on me to market my own stuff, and I'm just not good at that. I mean, as you can see with these videos, I mean, I'm kind of talking to the ether sometimes. I don't know. I get very few views. I have very few. I think I got a boost in subscribers because of my lymphocytic colitis journey. So not my knitting and not my books. I would like to have an agent kind of help guide me through things, and if they want me to go back with my indie press, I would love to continue to support them. If they have a bigger press in mind, that's fine too. I just need a little extra help, I think. But if you would like to be a beta reader, if you like historical fiction, and this is straight fiction, like the first book I wrote was romance, the second book was historical fiction with like an adventure time travel twist. This is just straight historical fiction about Prohibition and the effect on one family. It's essentially my fictionalized version of the stories my grandmother told me about what it was like when she was growing up. And it was interesting. She had it hard, but not the same way other people did. She had plenty of food, and she had a place to live. But yeah, her mother was an alcoholic, and they owned a bar. It was different, and so this is that story. So if you would like to be a beta reader, hit me up, let me know. So that's it for books. I guess life stuff, we're doing online school again. The governor of Oklahoma passed a law last May banning mask mandates. William is vaccinated. We're all vaccinated except for Charlie. Because he's only 11. He won't be 12 until the end of January. So last year we did online, but we did Oklahoma Connections Academy, which is a fully online school. It was actually really good as online goes. Online is not for us though. Charlie especially needs in-person school because of his autism and the ADHD, but it's more important to me that he's healthy. So our local school district did offer online school, so that's what we're doing, and you have to do it for the whole semester. Hopefully next semester we can go back to in-person. Depends on if there's a vaccine available for him or not, and how this surge is happening by next January. Both boys are home because even though William's vaccinated, I don't want him to accidentally pick up the virus, because the masks are not to protect you, they're protecting others. And so even if he wore a mask, fiber in my lip. Even if he wore a mask in school, there's no guarantee that he wouldn't pick up the virus, because it's because everyone else should be wearing a mask too. So he's at home, and he actually does okay with online. It's just that he finishes everything so quickly. He's done in a few hours, and then the rest of the day, he's just, what else do I do, Mom? I don't want to do chores. Can I play video games? So there's that daily battle. It is what it is. So at least he's going to be healthy. Today, they are gone. They are outside with masks. They're very meticulous about it at the Scouts, but they're doing an all-day Scout merit badge event. So hopefully they will have earned some merit badges by the time they get home. And that's why I'm doing this recording today, because I don't have any disturbances. But honestly, that's it. That's all I got. Hopefully it won't be too long before I get another video out. Maybe I will have finished my book by the next video, because I am looking forward to gearing up for NaNoWriMo again this year. I hope you are well. I hope you get to create all the yarny things and cross-stitch all the pictures and read all the books. And I will see you next time. Bye. Hi there. Welcome to episode 'YouTube taught me to knit. leaves are green. The leaves and stalk are green. The petals are yellow. Go right with the cut and tie. Looks like a giant ant. It's not an ant, but it looks like a giant ant outside my window. And I'm glad he's outside. Anyway,